Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 2 of Earth's Mightiest Comics Reloaded, I think is what I branded this. Yeah, this is the show where we talk about the new comics that are coming out as they come out. It's a big week today. There are a lot of really big new things that started up, including the return of Jonathan Hickman to Marvel after about 2 years away, with Ultimate Invasion #1. Also, the start of a new Incredible Hulk series, Philip Kennedy Johnson's Incredible Hulk #1. We've got that, plus a bunch of other stuff that we read, that I read. I read much more than Sebastian this week. Yes. So we are excited to talk about it. Quick thank you to everybody who watched the previous episode. That is so far our best performing video of the past 10 videos that we've uploaded in this time frame. So that's very cool. Also, to the one person who requested we do a Guardians 3 review, I'm sorry, we didn't see it until very recently. But if you're here, I liked it a lot. I thought it was very good, but it was also very sad. Those are my brief thoughts. We're not going to do a full review here because that would take a while. We're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to go ranked in order of least to best. I think since I have read so many more than you have this week, I'll probably start.
I was gonna say, yeah, like you just keep going, and then I'll comment, and then when we get to what I've read too, I'll start commenting a bit more.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because I read all the stuff that Sebastian read. So I'll just go till we reach the ones that he's gotten to. Okay. So I want to preface this by saying none of the ones I read this week I would say I actively disliked. Even the worst of the batch I thought were just kind of okay. So to start off, I read 11 this week. My number 11th placement is the Scarlet Witch Annual #1. It's fine. I think this series is solid. I think it's definitely still the best. It's written by Steve Orlando. This issue was not drawn by the series regulars. That's typically either Russell Dauterman or Sarah Pichelli. This one was not drawn by either of them. This one was drawn by Carlos Nieto. So I think this is by far the best Steve Orlando book that I have read. Still, right. I don't think this issue is as good as some of the highlights of the numbered run, but I think it's still solid. I think also this one maybe suffers a little bit because it is trying to set up the next kind of event. Sebastian, are you familiar with this event? It's called the Contest of Chaos.
I'm reading that. I'm seeing a Contest of Chaos right here. Yeah. No, I do not.
Yeah, so it's like Contest of Champions except magic, kind of. Yeah, so the basic premise, and this is only really set up towards the back end of this issue, but Agatha Harkness comes back after, I don't really know where she's been the past couple months in Marvel. She was associated with the Midnight Suns miniseries that came out last year. I don't know where she's been since then. Essentially, she comes back, and she has this kind of conversation with Wanda, and then she's like, "Hey, actually, you're pretty cool. You're a pretty good sorcerer."
Yeah.
And because apparently, I guess previously Wanda had taken the Darkhold, like inside her heart or something, and then restructured it into a labyrinth to contain Chthon. And so Agatha's like, "You don't have the power to do that." And she's like, "Actually, you do have the power." But then it was actually a ruse, and she had like slipped a fragment of herself into Wanda's like consciousness, and then now is like, "I'm gonna reconstruct the Darkhold, and I need lots of people to fight to do it," or something. I don't really know. Yeah. So it's gonna be carried across a bunch of the annuals. I don't know if they're gonna really kind of tie into some of the other kind of series that I'm reading, because it starts out here. This is the prologue. Then it goes into Spider-Man, not Amazing Spider-Man, but normal Spider-Man, the adjectiveless Spider-Man, if you will. Then into Iron Man. I'm not reading Spider-Man, by the way, but I'll read that issue. Iron Man I am reading. Fantastic Four is the next one. I am reading that. Moon Knight I am reading. Spider-Gwen does not have a normal series right now, but I'll pick that up anyway. Then it's into Venom. This is where I might have to drop off because I'm not caught up on the Venom series. We'll see. I'm just because it's. I don't think this will influence the events of Venom too much, or X-Men or Avengers, which are the last two. But But if they talk about things that are happening in the Venom's ongoing, which is definitely possible, I don't want to spoil that for myself. So
exactly.
Yeah, so that one, X-Men, I'm not caught up on, and then Avengers I am. I hope this annual doesn't really tie into the further, I hope it's not required for the further Avengers series, because I don't want to have to wait to keep reading that. But yeah, as this issue does on its own, it's totally fine. I think the interplay between Agatha and Wanda is pretty good. I think the art, despite not being the series regulars, it's still solid. Yeah, it's definitely the best Steve Orlando series I have read. I'm generally not a fan of his, but yeah, it's fine. It's like a 6 out of 10 for me. It's a solid, decent enough.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's still also early enough in its run where if you wanted to catch up on it, Sebastian.
I was going to say, I might want to read that one then.
Yeah.
So do I have to read anything before this one?
I would recommend reading the Scarlet Witch main series 1 through 5, which is where we're up to right now. They're very easy reads. They're pretty quick. And they're good, generally. Okay, the next one, my number 10th one, is another one that Sebastian has not read. Another series that I more or less enjoy. It is Hellcat issue number 4. Yeah, it continues to be pretty solid. This is from the writer who did not the current Iron Man run, but the one before that, Christopher Cantwell. I believe the artist on this is Alex Lins. I'll double check that right now. It is Alex Lins, yeah. Yeah, series is continuing to be solid. I don't know. I don't remember so this is essentially, it's a murder mystery with Hellcat as the star. But it's also like a supernatural spooky murder mystery. Which I don't know how much you're familiar with Hellcat, Sebastian.
No.
Yeah, she's a character who you wouldn't necessarily expect to be thrown into the supernatural side of things, at least from what I've read of her, which is like her 70s and 80s kind of appearances.
Yeah.
But she's also she's been married to Damon Hellstrom, and so she has been kind of enmeshed in the supernatural side of things, and it works. I mean, she works as the protagonist of this series. I like her as a character a lot. I don't know, just the whole concept is a character that I don't feel like I would gel with, but I have always liked Hellcat as a character, and this is still pretty good. I don't remember if it actually solved the murder mystery this issue. It was probably Damon, it sounds like. Spoiler alert. But my big call was that it was her best friend Heidi. It is definitely not her after this issue. I'm very confident that she did not do it. But yeah, it's solid. There's enough players in there to make it kind of interesting to be like, oh, who actually did this? It's not that spooky, but the art's pretty good. Yeah, it's solid. But it's also, there's only one more issue left. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're not reading it now, I don't think there's really much of a reason for you to jump into it. I would give it maybe a 6.5. It's pretty solid. On to my number 9. Yet another one that Sebastian has not read.
All right, let's hear it.
It's the Vigil issue number 2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I liked issue 1 a lot. I definitely still don't think this is bad. I just think it is a bit of a drop off from the first issue. This kind of focuses more on one of the pre-existing team members. The first issue was kind of this new person who got recruited in as kind of their handler a little bit. To the team. She was unfamiliar with them, so we got kind of her looking at the team through her eyes as she sees them all for the first time. This one is essentially just like a mission of the week, giving us more in-depth kind of background on Arclight, one of the characters, who's essentially, he's just got like electricity powers. It's fine. I think this issue is not as good as the first one. It doesn't really seem to progress the main story of this series. Because outside of like maybe 3 pages in the middle of the issue, those 3 pages were interesting. It's not bad, certainly. There is a sequence towards the end of this issue where I feel like if it was a character I cared about more, I would think it was really fucking cool. Like if it was like Storm or something instead of Arclight. But as it is, I just I don't care about this. I don't have enough reason to care about this character yet. They kind of did something to establish his motivation. It was family dying in a nuclear experiment gone wrong or something. Okay. But it was fairly standard stuff, and it didn't get me that invested. So it's fine. Ultimately, it's fine. It's written by Ram V, who he did most of the most recent Carnage run. He did the first 10 issues of that, and he also did some of the current Venom run. Kind of trading off with Al Ewing for a bit. And the artist is Lalit Kumar Sharma. Art's fine as well. It's not something I think is amazing. I don't know. I am kind of starting to question whether or not I'll get the next issue. It's only 6 issues, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. See what happens. This is also it's like a 6.5 for me as well. Then my number. God, this is awkward. Right. I'm just talking for ages because all the ones at the bottom you haven't read yet. Okay, next one. Where is it? Next one up that I read is Red Zone, which you also did not read.
Red Zone.
Yep, this is the finale of the series. I've gone back and forth on this one. This is from AWA, the company AWA. It's been solid. I think the first issue was still definitely my favorite. Essentially, the whole premise of this is there's a professor. He's a university professor in New York of Russian history and Russian studies.
Yeah.
And so they bring him. He gets brought in as a consultant on a special ops team to Russia. Because he used to live there for a while. He kind of very much knows the lay of the land. And also it's an extraction mission, and the person they're extracting is a former love interest of the main character, Randall Crane. So they're like, okay, cool. We can bring him in, and then he'll help us. It'll be quick, easy in and out, and then it'll be fine. Except then, of course, when they get there, the whole team gets killed. And then the reveal at the end of the first issue is that essentially the main character is actually this John Wick-esque kind of secret agent guy.
Okay.
And so it's a great first issue. Second issue starts off really cool too. It's he does the John Wick kind of action stuff. But then as the series goes on, and this happened in the second issue, you start just getting weirder kind of elements. All of the assassins are 80, which is, I mean, it's fine, but it's just kind of it turns kind of goofy at a point, and then one of them is this big mecha suit, and it's what is even it kind of jumps the shark a little bit. And so I think this is a solid enough conclusion. I think issues 1 and 3 are still my favorite. Those are the more kind of grounded issues of it.
Yeah, gotcha.
I think this one's fine. It's written by Cullen Bunn, who I don't really have any thoughts on. Artist is good. Mike Deodato Jr. He's done a bunch of stuff. Again, it's solid. This is probably a 7 out of 10 for me. I like this one a decent amount. But I think it also it still kind of retains some of that goofy stuff. Although there is one of the assassins in this issue. I actually really enjoyed this one. He's this absurd cowboy guy. He is the most Southern accent, yeehaw partner cowboy assassin. And it's actually genuinely funny instead of just kind of weird and goofy. And he gets killed really quickly too. So it's kind of a funny thing. But I will say, I think this ends maybe a little bit too neatly. Everything's just kind of wrapped up. Everybody's fine. There was a point here where I was like, oh, the main character's going to die. That's the only way this series is going to end.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. It's really kind of a clean ending. So I don't know. And that's just personal preference. But yeah, still decent enough ending, but definitely not my favorite, and not even my favorite of the series. Okay, next up, my next one. It's the last one that I haven't read before we start getting the stuff that Sebastian has read. So bear with me. My number 7 spot is Titans issue number 2.
Issue number 2.
Yep. It's still pretty solid. I don't know if I like this one more or less than the previous one, but I'm starting to get a better indication of kind of what the series is. It's written by Tom Taylor, who is also currently writing Nightwing. People seem to be pretty mixed on him as a whole. I guess from what I gather, his writing is generally good, but he just has a kind of bad habit of stretching out plot lines and throwing other quote unquote filler issues into the middle of kind of these big ongoing story arcs. From what I understand, his Nightwing series has been going for 30 issues, and the main villain has still there's not been a whole lot of progress into that kind of section. But from what I hear, if you take his stories on their own terms as they are, they're good. They're just not the most, if you are invested in the main story, you're gonna have to wait a while before you get any kind of progression into that. So this one it's still solid. It's So kind of spoiler alert, kind of, but at the end of the first issue, it was revealed that Wally West Kid Flash is dead. He dies at the end of the first issue, except then at the beginning of this issue, he just shows up immediately. I was like, God damn it. Is it like really doing a death fake out? Like because there's kind of, they hyped it up around like, ooh, one of the Titans is going to die.
Yeah.
But turns out it's actually that the Wally that died is from the future, and he ran back in time to try and give the Titans enough of an indication, like, hey, I'm dead, solve my murder before I die so it doesn't happen. So, and I was like, okay, once I saw that, I was like, okay, that's fine. I think the team is cool. I don't really know much about a lot of these guys. Like, I've watched some of the Titans show, so I know all the characters, but I'm not super familiar with any of them. I mean, I like most of the characters. I think they work well together. I think the art is solid. And I think the way they incorporate like the team powers, like bouncing off each other as well, works quite well as well. The other kind of plot that is spoiling is these kind of catastrophic climate events that are clearly being caused by somebody. But we don't really know who. So it's the Titans kind of going around trying to put out those fires. That's kind of been the main action sequences side of things, is them kind of putting out these disasters. So it's solid so far. It kind of spun out of Tom Taylor's Nightwing. I have not read Tom Taylor's Nightwing, but I think it's self-contained enough. I'm not having any trouble following it. I think it's good enough so far, at least, that if you wanted to hop into it, Sebastian, I think it'd be worth it.
Yeah, also, I was reading the like synopsis of the first one here, and it's saying like the Justice League's no more. I didn't know that happened.
Yeah, they have. I think most of them are still alive, but they have disbanded after, I think it was the events of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, Dark Crisis is over. Justice League is no more. Blah blah blah.
I didn't read Dark Crisis, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so yeah, that's it. I would give it it's like a 7.5 for me. Pretty solid. I think it's good. Actually, this may be my number 6. I may like it better than my number 6 spot right now currently. But my number 6 spot, finally Sebastian can jump into this here.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy number 3.
Yeah, I read this one.
What'd you think?
All right, so I'm gonna comment on the whole series because I read them all.
Yeah.
Read all of it, caught up and stuff. All right, so I was, a little confused again.
Yeah.
Obviously. But yeah, so apparently there was like escaping this giant group, like Planet Eater or something.
Yeah.
From my understanding.
Although issue 3 does kind of change that a little bit.
Yes, it changes it a little bit. But like the first issue was them just completely running away. The second issue was them trying to warn a different planet.
Second issue sucked, by the way.
Yeah, that one didn't go too well. And then the third issue was also, like, I didn't like the beginning that much. In my opinion, like this weird, like, hunting party thing.
Oh, right. I kind of forgot that they even were in this.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like it was really weird at the beginning, and then all of a sudden it like kind of picked up. Like literally, like I think it was like the last like 10 pages, where all of a sudden like a Groot showed up, was on that planet.
Was that actual Groot?
No, alright. So like from what I remember reading was the fact that like this planet had already succumbed to the Groot fall, which is the giant planet destroying whatever.
Yep.
And so Peter was like, there shouldn't be life on this planet. This shouldn't be happening. But they were killing like creatures that were living on the planet. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, they came across like a giant Groot. And Peter was like, all right, nobody moves now. This is a Guardian's business. Like, nobody's killing this thing.
Yeah.
And so he tries to go talk to it. It like assimilates to him. And was like trying to like bring him to like a hive mind, I think.
Yeah.
And then the main leader of the hunting party like destroyed the Groot. Peter was sad, and then he killed all of them.
Yep. So the whole premise of this opening arc, at least, is what is Groot fall. It's very similar to like what did Peter do in ASM. So I like issue 1 a lot. I thought it was really good. Issue 2 I thought was fucking trash. It was so bad that I was like, if I don't like issue 3, I may be dropping the series.
Issue 2 was boring in my opinion. Issue 1 was fun. It was fun and like
It's like a Western as well.
It was Western. It was Western. It was really fun to like read. Issue 2 was just boring, and then issue 3 for me was like boring at the beginning, but then picked up towards the end.
Yeah. I think what is interesting, because we still don't know what's causing Groot fall, it does seem like it's not Groot itself. In the first issue, I was under the impression it was just Groot. But it seems like it's maybe like Groot hurling remnants of himself off to these planets. Because there's multiple of them, clearly, because this one dies.
Well, I don't know, because like supposedly this planet had already been like destroyed or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think he like left. I don't know what is going on, really.
Well, if this wasn't Prime Groot, and it seems like it's probably not, maybe. It kind of seemed like it was for a while, but also at the same time, like, they're still looking for more Groot falls. So clearly there's multiple Groot falls going on. I think it must be that Groot Prime is hurling pieces of himself. Oh. Or maybe it's possible it's just other Flora Colossi. But I don't think that's right either, because I'm pretty sure Groot's the last Flora Colossi. So I don't think that really... or Flora Colossus. I don't think that really tracks. What I did find interesting, though, is it seems like Groot is not actually hostile. Grootfall is not a hostile thing. Because
I don't know. Compared to in the first issue, it definitely seemed it.
Well, it seemed that way, yeah. But when Peter was talking to Groot in the weird, like, hive mind thing, Groot was like, hey, we can all be friends again. Just get Rocket, and, like, he'll know what to do. So it's... And also, like... It is kind of like it seems like Groot Falls maybe more of a terraforming kind of thing to restore some nature to the world. So, because clearly, like, the place they were at was pretty well off. Like, it was very green and there was lots of animals and stuff there. So I don't think Groot is doing anything. I no longer think this is Groot being, like, malicious or malevolent and, like, being like, I'm just trying to fuck everybody up. Like, it seems like there is some purpose behind it that is... I think Groot is well-intentioned in this, at least now, which is not something I really felt from the first issue. So next issue is Rocket coming back, based on solicitation. I don't think we're going to see any more Groot fall this issue, but we may get a little bit more information on what's kind of going on. That being said, there's still at least 2 more issues in the Groot Fall arc after the next one, so I don't think we're going to get the full origin or anything. But I definitely do think this was more solid than the previous issue. So yeah, you have any more thoughts on it?
No, not really.
Yeah. This is probably also a 7.5 for me.
Yeah, I actually quite enjoyed this one. Specifically, obviously, again, towards the end, because the beginning was just fucking boring again. But yeah, I quite enjoyed this one. I'd probably give it a 7.
Yeah. Would you, so of the 4 you read, is this your last, or is this somewhere else in the ranking?
Oh, it's a good question. It probably would. Oh man. It probably would be.
Okay, yeah.
I'd give it the last one right now, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next one, we are into my top 5. The next one is one that I know you also read. This is a fucking big deal, this one. It is Ultimate Invasion #1.
Yeah.
So, for anybody not familiar, you may not be familiar with this either, Sebastian. This is Jonathan Hickman's kind of big return to Marvel since he left the X-Men line in, I think it was kind of mid-2021. He essentially, the entire Krakoan era of X-Men was built by him. It is started with House of X and Powers of X, which he wrote leading to his X-Men run, which kind of built out the world, and then it led into X of Swords or 10 of Swords, and then into Inferno. Essentially what happened, he had a 3-act plan for where he was going to take the X-Men stuff. Yeah. He was approaching the end of Act 1, and so he went and talked to all the other, this is what him and Marvel have said, he went and talked to all the other writers who were working on other X-Men titles in Krakoa. So, like Ben Percy, probably, I don't think Kieran Gillen was on board yet. Al Ewing might have just been on board. I think Teenie Howard was writing Excalibur at that point. Kind of a bunch of others. There were some others in there as well. Ed Brisson, or maybe Vita Ayala at that point. Anyway, so he went to all the other writers at the X desk, and he was like, "Hey, are you guys ready to move on? I'm getting ready to write the event that will transition us into Phase 2." And literally every other writer said they wanted to stay in phase 1 because they were having so much fun. So he was like, okay, that's fine. But he's like, I don't really have I can't pad this out too much. So I'm going to step back. I'm going to leave the Etch's office, and then you guys do your thing. That is a big bummer. I did not really like I didn't love every, step in Jonathan Hickman's X-Men, but one thing that I really like about Jonathan Hickman as a whole is his ability to really build plots, build huge, long setup, and then put it into this insane cataclysmic explosion of a resolution.
Yeah.
Because he's probably best known for his work on the 2012 Avengers and also New Avengers, which led into Secret Wars. That was kind of his whole run at Marvel, 5+ years. Actually, closer to 10, I think, because he also was doing it in Fantastic Four. It was all building to Secret Wars, the 2015 one. I really want to know where his X-Men would have gone. Unfortunately, that is not something that we probably will ever know. And to be fair, I really like where the X-Men are right now currently still, even without Hickman, but I still would have been really interested to see his vision. So him being back here now, very interesting. This is the start of a 4-issue miniseries that will lead into then a one-shot called Ultimate Universe in November. That will kind of end up, I guess, spinning out a new Ultimate Universe. So all that preamble out of the way, what do you think?
Oh, what did I think of this one?
Yeah.
Oh man, what did I think? I thought it was pretty. I thought it was an interesting read. I'll say that. I didn't realize the Maker was part of Miles's universe. I thought it was something entirely different. I knew Miles's was the ultimate. From the Ultimate Universe or whatever, but I didn't recognize Maker. The first time I ever saw Maker was when I first started reading King in Black.
Yep.
I know he's in that.
Yeah.
And so I was super confused on who the hell he was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until very recently I learned he's just an evil version of Reed.
Yep.
And so that was a new thing for me. So I went into this knowing that he was an evil version of Reed. And so I'm still not entirely sure what he's doing. I don't know if you know.
I have a vague idea. Yeah. So in the King in Black run, it kind of becomes clear that his whole goal is to just recreate the Ultimate Universe. I don't know if it's specifically the one that he inhabited or just make a new version of that universe for him to go to.
Yeah.
But essentially, just his goal seems to be to make a new version of the universe. That being said, clearly there's something else kind of going on because he's coming into very direct confrontation with all the 616 heroes.
Yeah.
And the way he's talking to them, it seems to be he's like, hey, you guys can't stop me. You're all fucked. Kind of seems to be the message that he seems to be imparting.
Exactly, yeah.
So I do wonder if it's maybe in order to create the new Ultimate Universe, he's going to try and destroy 616.
616. That's because I know he went in this issue. He went and asked Miles if he wanted to be a part of this, and Miles was like, "Nah, I like my life." He basically said I like my life here.
Yeah, I think his words were, "Nah, I'm good." Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was like, "All right, then that's that's fine." But he's still gonna go through with this, so I'm assuming Miles is gonna be a part of the 616 against the Maker.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I'd continue.
So I'll buy pretty much anything Jonathan Hickman writes because I think he's just such a fascinating writer. I liked it. It's definitely a bit of a dense read, which I was expecting going in because I know his stuff. I typically am not a fan of the artist Brian Hitch, but I think it works well enough here.
I enjoyed the art.
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of people say that they want Miles to go back to 1610, which is the Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
I don't know. They might still end up doing that. I don't think they can at this point, though, because he's kind of pretty entrenched in 616 by this point.
Yeah.
I will say, though, one issue I have with this, it was $9.
Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, 58 pages.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's an oversized issue for sure. But that's a lot of
pretty
money.
Big. Yeah. But for a comic, usually they're what, 4? 3?
4 is so $4 is for your standard 28-page issue.
Yeah.
And so I guess from that standpoint, right, this is twice the size of that, and it's only a little bit more than twice the price, but it feels like it should be I would have accepted probably $7. Yeah.
I was gonna say 7. Yeah, because I mean, while it is like a lot of pages, it doesn't really give us a lot.
Yeah.
Story-wise, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. So this one. Let's see. I'll go 8. I think I'll go 8 out of 10.
All right, nice. I think I'll give it like 7.5, honestly.
Yeah. Would this be your number 3?
This would probably be. Let me see, 4. This would be number 2. Yeah, number 3.
Okay. Well, the next one we're going into is another series that I know you have read. You're not caught up though, correct? This is Superman number 5.
Yes, I'm not caught up. I only read the first one.
Okay. Well, what do you think of the first one?
I enjoyed it. A bit not confusing per se, but like the ending had me like being like, what?
You're gonna have to remind me what the ending was. It's been like 3 or 4 months since I read this one.
He was like on a table with like no arms or legs for some reason, and he was like attacked by this like weird thing. I couldn't even tell you what it was. I really couldn't tell you what it was.
Okay. Was
Parasite.
it Parasite? Okay,
Parasite apparently is what it is. Never heard of that thing before. But anyway, yeah, he was like there, and then Lex Luthor was in jail.
Yep.
He can talk to Superman like telepathically, which I kind of like knew.
Yeah, it's not telepathically. What it is that he's just whispering, but Superman's hearing is so advanced they can just hear him.
Yes, that's what it was. That's right. That's what it was. Yes, I knew that. What else? Lex Luthor gave LexCorp to Superman, which is now like Supercorp.
Supercorp. Yep.
Yeah. But art style, I really liked it actually.
Yeah, Jamal Campbell, he's very good.
The art.
Yeah.
The art. Story. Sure, I guess. I don't know. I feel like Lois is editor in chief now, or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember.
She's like. Yeah, I don't know. She was top brass in the Daily Bugle, but
You mean the Daily Planet?
Yeah, whatever. Daily Planet.
She's right there with J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah, no, but yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah,
I want to catch up today.
One thing I really love about that first issue is where like he just stops. Is it Livewire?
Livewire, yeah.
He stops Livewire, and then they're like, "Oh, my wedding's ruined." He's just like, "No worries, I'll just officiate your wedding." Like that's such a Superman thing to do. I love it.
Such a Superman thing to do.
I think this really nails like the character of Superman as a whole. Joshua Williamson is kind of shepherding the DC universe right now, it seems. And
that's a good way to put it.
He's great. So Superman 5, I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil the major stuff, which is a bummer. Because the cliffhanger, God, I really want to fucking talk about it. The cliffhanger is really interesting. But this is the resolution to a 2-part arc. So the first arc was 3 issues. That's the Parasite arc. Then this is this 2-issue arc is the Silver Banshee arc. So this issue kind of focuses on, Jimmy Olsen and his supervillain girlfriend, Silver Banshee. It's solid. This is not my favorite issue of the series. I think generally the thing I have noticed, at least with these first 2 arcs, is that I really like the setup to both of them. So I really like issues 1 and 2. I really like issue 4. But then I think the resolution is not always the most satisfying to me. So issues 3 and 5 have been my least favorite of the series so far, and those are the resolution arcs. That being said, the way the cliffhanger unfolds is so interesting because it makes me think like, what did the overall villains, who I don't think you really have a sense of yet, we still don't know too much about them at the point where I'm at, but it's like, did they plan this out all completely? Because it's a lot of planning if so. But also it's just like, I think one thing that's really good about this is the overarching villains here. Joshua Williamson as writer is revealing enough about them to keep us invested and not to make us just be like, God damn it, just get to it already. But he's also not just feeding us everything, so there is still some sense of mystery there, which I appreciate. And yeah, the way this whole thing unfolds at the end here is really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one's probably an 8 out of 10 for me as well.
I'd probably give the first one probably 7.5.
Yeah, first one for me was like a 9, maybe a 9.5. I loved the first issue.
No, the first one was good. Good. I liked it.
Okay, now we are back into ones where you have not read. The next two you have not read. I just thought let you know what my number one is.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So number 3 on my list is the Bone Orchard Mythos Tenement #1.
What the hell? That's a long title.
Sure is. So what? Okay, what it is though is the Bone Orchard Mythos is the universe. Yeah, and then Tenement is the specific series. So essentially, this is series number 3 of, I believe, a 12-series interconnected universe of horror from the same creative team. It's Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. So they're all self-contained stories, but it is, from what I understand, it's if you read all of them, you'll get, you'll have you'll see some connections, but you don't need to read all of them. If you just want to read one, you can just read one,
Yeah.
So this is the third. I had not read the first 2 when I read this one. I have since bought both of the previous 2 series. It's the first one was the Bone Orchard Mythos Passageway, which I've already read. That was just a one-shot. It was like 96 pages, though. It was a pretty big one. And then the second one was Bone Orchard Mythos 10,000 Black Feathers. That was a 5-issue miniseries. I haven't read that one yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah, this one it's cool. I'm a big fan of Jeff Lemire as a writer. I think he is very good. And this one kind of focuses on this tenement building. And it's just, this one was kind of just introducing the characters. You didn't really get a whole big sense of kind of where things are going on the whole. And not even too much of a dose of horror in there, except for right at the end, clearly one of the members of the tenement building knew something. Like, he kind of was narrating the issue. But then I don't want to spoil anything, but there's kind of a development with him towards the end, and it's like, okay, shit, stuff is kind of kicking into gear. I don't know how, but there's stuff moving here. I think this does a good job of introducing the characters. I think they're all interesting. There weren't any who I was like, this is extraneous character. I think this one really does a good job of building atmosphere. Again, this one's not particularly scary. The Passageway, the first one, was pretty creepy. This one's not too scary yet, but I think it is building atmosphere really well, and showing like there's something really weird going on in this building.
Yeah.
And then art-wise, it's pretty good. I think this is the one where I noticed. I really like so far this artist from the first series that he did, and also in this series. Something I noticed is the way he does layouts is really interesting. That's not something we see very often anymore in this era. Like, we don't see interesting panel layouts and creative panel layouts super, super frequently. That was more something that happened a lot more in the 80s. So I'm really happy to see that. That was super cool. At the end of the day, it's good. I would recommend it. It's a pretty quick read, both this and Passageway. For being 96 pages, it was very quick. It was like a 15-minute read for me. Just it's a lot of like double page spreads with not much dialogue.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but so far so good on all this kind of universe. I've quite enjoyed it. This one's an 8.5 out of 10 for me. I would definitely recommend at some point.
All right.
Then my number 2 is one that you have not read, but you should, because it's very early in its run. It is Avengers issue number 2. So this is written by Jed MacKay, who he's also writing Moon Knight and a bunch of other stuff. As we talked about last week, I am not super on board with Moon Knight where it is right now. I think it starts off a little bit, but I think Avengers is really good so far. These first 2 issues have kind of both been set up. The first issue was kind of getting the team together and then their first mission. This one, essentially, Carol goes into a black hole solving the previous mission from the first issue and runs into Kang. And he's like, hey, I'm about to die. I need to tell you something right now. And so he gives them, the premise of this issue is he gives them a bunch of knowledge about, I think it's how to save, it's either 1,000 people. He's like, I can give you information that will save 1,000 lives. If I do that, you need to trust me and like do what I say, because there's some shit coming for you for all of creation right now. So I need you to trust me on this. And so they go, they save all those people. It's like the information's correct. And essentially this is the whole setup for this series is there's something called the tribulation events that are coming to Earth. Okay. We don't really know what they are. We have information on what the first one is, kind of. It's like the living city of something. I forget what the name was. We see that at the very end as it's coming to Earth. And so next issue is going to be the first tribulation event lands, and the Avengers have to deal with it. I am so glad they're not dragging that out, because I mean, it's been like the first 2 issues. I'm like, okay, that sounds interesting. I don't know what they are, but I'm interested to see what's going on, what the bigger kind of scheme behind those are, and what they're kind of going to manifest themselves as. I think we know about 4 of them. I think we have the names of 4 of them, I should say. I don't remember what the names are off the top of my head, but it sounds, yeah, it's interesting where it's heading. Despite this being kind of an exposition dump, information kind of heavy issue, I still think it works really well. And it was also like it was interspersed with enough kind of Avengers saving people stuff that I think it works really well. That's another thing I really like about this, is that the Avengers just go around saving people. You know, it's like that's what superheroes should do. There should be scenes of superheroes saving people. I like seeing that stuff. That's why I like the Iron Man 3 plane scene so much. And this run is fucking miles ahead of the previous one. That was written by Jason Aaron. It lasted for like 5 years, and it was not very good. I've read almost all of it. I don't know why. There were bright spots in that run, but it was just like, it was a lot. That very much felt like every issue was just Jason Aaron smashing together all the Avengers action figures together, being like, look at this, look at all this big action. It was just too much. Also, it did like the early 60s kind of stuff of like, hey, we're all going to talk about ourselves in the third person and say our superhero names in the third person. So like, so says the Black Panther, for instance. And it's like, God damn it. Like, I know who these characters are. You don't have to fucking introduce them. I know who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this one's good. 8.5 out of 10 for me again. I think it was very good.
Yeah, see, I saw this one, but I thought I had to like get info from other things, so I decided not to read it.
This one is self-connected, yeah.
Okay.
Self-contained so far, yeah. All right, so my number 1 for the week is another one that Sebastian's read. It's The Incredible Hulk number 1.
This one was good.
Yep. It was. So is this your number 1 as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Goddamn. Fucking.
I liked it.
Yeah, I'm so happy with this one because the last run by Donny Cates was fucking garbage. It is one of the worst comic runs I have read in modern history. I just was so baffled how that was the follow-up to Immortal Hulk. Because Immortal Hulk is my favorite run, is my favorite Hulk run ever. It's one of my favorite comic runs of the past like 20 years. I love Immortal Hulk. Just the whole, I think Hulk works so well with horror. I think the horror genre works so well with Hulk. And so after having this incredible horror Hulk run that lasted for 50 issues with Al Ewing's Immortal Hulk, to go to Starship Hulk was fucking ridiculous. Are you familiar with Starship Hulk at all, Sebastian?
Yeah, you told me about it. You told me about it.
God, I cannot believe it. It just got like more baffling with every issue. So the art was good. It was Ryan Otley he was the long running artist on Invincible. But yeah, it just, so this returns to the horror focus, and it's incredible.
Yeah, the Age of Monsters.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been reading. What are your overall thoughts on it?
I thought it was great. I'm glad I read the Immortal Hulk run because I understood a couple of things that they were talking about in this issue. The Green Door mostly, specifically. Actually, it was just that. I was like, I know what that is. Yes.
Did you finish Immortal Hulk, by the way?
I am on like 38.
Okay.
Something like that.
You're close.
So close. Actually, I seem to have lost it. I have no idea what I'm on now. Oh wait, no, it's right here. 33.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'm really close to finishing that one. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one actually. I mean, I don't know if this is its own thing or is this like still connected to, like partly to like the Starship Hulk stuff?
It's mostly its own thing. There is some kind of brief. I think the only kind of thing that vaguely connects to Starship Hulk. I'm glad they're mostly just ignoring that, by the way, because it was god awful. Also, Starship Hulk completely ignored Immortal Hulk, which pissed me off.
Okay.
But yeah, so I think the one kind of thing is, so Starship Hulk essentially was the body of the Hulk was the starship, Banner was the like pilot, and then the Hulk's psyche was the engine. So essentially, Banner would send down waves of enemies, and then the Hulk would just beat them up, and that would fuel the Starship Hulk. It is not really even explicitly said, but it's kind of hinted at here that Banner trapping Hulk like that is the reason that Hulk is now essentially hunting Banner.
Yeah, exactly. That's
the one connection I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was saying, Banner trapped the Hulk in his mind, and Banner or Hulk is now like fighting him back and like escaping essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And I would say that's actually the creepiest part of this issue is like Banner waking up and seeing graffiti on a wall. It's your fault from the Hulk, and it's like Banner's like, oh shit, the Hulk is coming for me. Like it's really kind of chilling.
No, yeah, seriously, like it's like especially the diner scene specifically for me. That one was like really like wow.
Yeah.
Like he was in that diner, he was being nice to everybody, all them, and then like the Hulk escaped, and then he comes back and he just sees the diner destroyed with it. It's your fault, and just the dog is there.
And even even inside the diner, it seems like the Hulk's psyche kind of took over and started projecting itself onto the waitress as well. It's like, yeah. So also there's a cool, so there's not much action in this one outside of one sequence where there is the first transformation to the Hulk, and it's like this super body horror sequence.
Yeah, that was really, really well drawn.
Yeah. The artist on this is Nick Klein. He's a very good artist. It's very cool. And then the whole Age of Monsters stuff, I'm curious to see, because I don't know. I'm curious to see if that's the full, like if they are the main kind of antagonists of this series, or if they're gonna get dispatched in like the first arc. And then, like, from there, where is it going to go? So that's kind of the one thing, is I'm not sure where the longevity of this series is going to go. That being said, I think, I've not read much of Philip Kennedy Johnson's work, but from what I've seen, most people seem to really like and trust his writing. So I'm sure it'll work out. But I think structurally, this is quite similar to Immortal Hulk as well. The first issue, at least, where, because in Immortal Hulk, it was Bruce goes into the gas station, the robber kills that. I don't know if the mom was in there or not, but he at least kills like a young child.
Yes, yeah.
And then he kills Bruce, and then Bruce comes back, and then gets that. So and it's a little bit different here, but I think the whole structure of something happening, then a big body horror sequence, then Bruce just completely destroys everybody off panel as well. So yeah, I'm loving it. I think I actually, as much as I hate Starship Hulk, it may have been a decent idea. It may be a good thing in the long run to have put that in between Immortal Hulk and this, since they are kind of similar. And I think if this had followed Immortal Hulk directly, the comparisons would be a lot more easy to draw since they were so close. And so maybe I don't know if I would like this one as much if it had come right after Immortal Hulk. That being said, I may have actually liked this issue more than Immortal Hulk #1. Or at the very least, they are on par with each other, I think. So
I really enjoyed this one. So far.
This is probably like a 9.5 out of 10 for this. Fuck it, I'll give it a 10.
10 out of 10, yeah, that's good. It's good.
Because I think if I were doing this by the complete Marvel reading order standards, I would give it a 5 out of 5. So
fair enough.
So by that logic, I would have to give this a 10 out of 10, I think. So yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would definitely give this a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed this one.
I cannot wait for the next one.
Especially the beginning part too, and like the tomb and stuff. That was super creepy, and like it was really good. Yeah, great stuff. Any closing thoughts for you before we wrap up the episode? Next week, let's talk a little bit about next week.
Oh yeah, good call. You got anything that you are planning to pick up next week?
I'll tell you what I'll plan on like picking up and catching up with. So since you said Deadpool's really good, I'll start reading Deadpool. Get into that.
To be fair, I only read the first issue, so I can't comment on the rest of it. But
I'll start getting up on that one. #8's coming out next week. Batman Brave and the Bold. It's on #2. I don't know if it's connected to anything else, but I'll check that one out.
This is so I haven't read it, but it's an anthology series apparently. So it's a bunch of different stories within this one kind of volume that follow on from so it's like 3 stories, and they each continue into that story. So it's like a bunch of different separate stuff.
Well, yeah. So I'm gonna try and do that one then. What else? I'll read Daredevil Echo just to comment on something.
Okay.
And then I'll throw Silk in there because why not?
Okay. I haven't read Silk. It's not bad though.
It's on #2, so I was like, all right, I'll throw that one in there. That is pretty. Oh, Storm. I'll throw Storm in there.
Okay.
I think that's gonna be it.
All right. Yeah, so the ones that I am going to be reading, so let me see, which ones are, okay, so we also, we might as well say this now, we're going to implement a rule where we can make each other read one comic that they otherwise would not have per week. The ones I'm planning to read are Green Arrow 3, Ghost Rider 15, World Tree number 3, Vanish number 8, and Daredevil and Nectar number 2, and then Alien number 3. So, I don't know, do we want to tell each other one to read now, or do we want to wait on that until after we stop recording? Because I know I'm going to make you read.
No, you can just tell me. Go for it.
Okay. You're going to read the first 3 issues of World Tree, because it's fucking incredible.
World Tree? All right.
Yep.
All right. I have no idea what I'm going to make you read, mate.
I think the only ones that you're planning to read right now that I'm not reading are Batman, Brave and the Bold, and Silk, I think.
I think so, yeah.
So if you want to choose one of those.
I'll probably make you just read Silk then.
Okay, that's fine. All right, well, in that case, thank you everybody for watching this second episode. Let us know what you thought of the comics of the week and what you're going to be reading next week as well. If you also want to leave a like and a subscribe, that would be awesome. That would definitely maybe help us out. I don't know how YouTube works. Yeah, other than that, next week we'll see you again. I cannot wait for some of these ones coming up. It's definitely a lighter week than this week, but there's still like the stuff I am going to be reading. I'm really excited for. So
yeah, it looks looking good.
Yeah. So again, thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you next time.